So in chapter 7, we looked at the production function and the cost functions for various firms. But the thing is, in that situation, we were dealing with a short run horizon. Why was it considered the short run? Was because of the fact that we weren't able to modify everything. We were looking at a situation where the size of your restaurant and your ovens and everything else were fixed, and all you could do if you wanted to expand output tomorrow was to modify the amount of workers that you would call in to work. Whereas the long run, it would be a time frame where everything is variable, everything is flexible. So firms could adjust the number of workers, but they could also adjust the size of the factory, the amount of ovens, the amount of floor space, tables, chairs, so on and so forth. They could adjust all of those things. So when I think about short run versus long run, it's not necessarily a time space. So if you're trying to think, well, how long is short run? Is it 0 to this amount of months? Long run is after that. It's very dependent on which industry you're in. Some industries will be very quick to expand and become fully flexible in terms of all of the factors of production. Whereas some other industries, it may take quite a long time to expand their operations. You might need a lot of very specialized materials, and it might take some time. So if you think of a car producer, airplane producer or something, that'd probably take a while before they could actually decide to double the output of their production. Whereas a hot dog stand or something else might just require a second barbecue to be purchased and for another worker to come in. So it all depends the situation you're in. However, the distinction is short run, you cannot modify every factor of production. Long run, you can. So we're going to draw a long run average total cost as an envelope curve for all the short run average total costs. And one of the big things that's going to be highlighted is that the long run average total cost will always be smaller or equal to one of the short run average total cost curves in this situation. So to set this up, let's just draw this out. So we have again our costs here, and here we have our quantity of output as we had in chapter 7. And if I were to just draw one of the average total cost curves that we may have had in chapter 7, could be this situation. And this ATC that has been drawn could be an example of a subway that has, let's say, 500 square feet of space. So I'm just going to write a small 500 here. And let's imagine that instead of having a subway that has 500 square feet of space, we have a subway in the short run which has 1,000 square feet of space. What do you think this average total cost curve would look like in that situation? Well, very likely it would be a situation that if you produce small quantities and you have a lot more floor space, well, you have a lot more cost in terms of rent. You have a lot more cost in terms of machinery and the extra ovens and different things like that. So for that low quantity of output, the cost would probably be higher. However, if I look in situations where I produce a large quantity of output, I might not be hitting that situation of diminishing marginal product of labor because I have an overcrowded kitchen with too many workers too quick because I have much more space. So over here, my cost will likely be lower. So this might go in a situation like this. This could be my average total cost if I have 1,000 square feet. And if I had even bigger space, it'd probably be even larger to the right. Okay, so if I had 1,500 square feet, I might have something like this. So you can see these are different average total cost curves that could happen in a short run basis as we had in chapter 7. But these are considering different sizes that we could have started with a subway this size, or this size. Naturally, in the short run, we can't just say, I want to go from producing this quantity of output to producing this quantity here, so I'm just going to triple the size of my store. You can't do that in the short run. However, in the long run, you can. So the long run average total cost curve will look something like this. And what was mentioned in the previous slide is that for any point, the long run average total cost curve will be smaller or equal to a short run average total cost curve. So these ones are now, let's just add short run in front just to make the distinction. These are all short run average total cost curves. If you just mention them as average total cost curves, it could still be good. But for any of these output level, if I look at this output level here, well, I see that for this output level here, this is my cost in the long run, but if I was in the short run, it would be more. If I look at this output level here, I could see that we're at the same point. And here, same point as well, and so on. Why can I have access always to the lowest cost? Well, it's because in the long run, if you knew with certainty how many units of subs or coffees or t-shirts or planes or anything else that you're producing, you knew that with certainty, and you knew your production processes with certainty as well, you would know exactly what would be the optimal size of your factory or restaurant to producing this output at the least cost possible. So sometimes you might be producing, if you have 500 square feet and it's 200 units per day, you might be at the optimal size. However, if you go to producing 300 units a day, you notice that at 300 units at that 500 square feet, your costs are higher because you had to hire extra workers, which are not the most productive because they don't have enough capital in terms of ovens and space to work efficiently. So in that situation there, we would see, well, it's probably going to be larger. Maybe not quite 1,000 square feet because here would be the minimum. So here to achieve that minimum, we'd probably be on a short run average total cost curve, which had a area of maybe, let's say, 800 square feet. And in that situation, that would yield the lowest cost possible. So we're not saying that short run or long run average total cost curves are different and that your costs are different in the short run or long run. All that is mentioned here is that with the flexibility of having the right mix of capital or space, ovens, and labor, you can achieve the lowest cost possible at any output level. So you always have the situation that on this long run average total cost curve, you're going to be at the lowest point. And this is why we say it's kind of an envelope. It kind of gathers all the short run average total cost curves within the middle. It's impossible for a short run average total cost curve to come below this long run average total cost, because if that was the case, if we had a situation like this that would come down and around, well, we would say that for 300 units, this size of a firm is more efficient than what we have access to in the long run. Well, that's impossible because in the long run, where everything is variable, we can choose that size of the firm. So this is, in fact, impossible. Okay. So when I look at the short run versus the long run, we know that the short run average total cost curve increases over time because of diminishing marginal product of labor. However, in the long run, I've also drawn it that it starts going up towards the end because of another scenario, which is not diminishing marginal product of labor. It's impossible to have an overcrowded kitchen in the long run because you would simply increase the kitchen size. So long run average total cost curve is U-shaped, but for different reasons. And we're going to see why the long run average total cost curve is U-shaped, and this next section on returns to scale.